Kia ora and welcome to Constellations and All That. I'm your host, Tracy Cartwright, and together we will be exploring the world of family constellations with facilitators and clients from around the world, looking at different perspectives and experiences in the work, having a cup of tea and just chatting with some friends around their experiences in constellations. We'd love for you to join us. I hope that you enjoy this series as much as I have loved making it. Kia ora, everyone. Welcome to Constellations and All That. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with my colleague, Ale Figueroa. Kia ora and welcome, Ale.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for inviting me for this podcast. I've been listening and I think there are great stories there, and that's a really good way to share about this family constellation journey, which means like a life philosophy.
Yeah. Well, that's my intention, and to make it accessible for everyone so that it's understandable. So coming from all sorts of different angles, and everyone's going to share something slightly different, and it's going to land for someone. So, yeah. So I'm going to invite you to introduce yourself in a way that whatever is there for you, for the listeners and the viewers.
Well, kia ora, everyone. My name is Alejandra Figueroa. I originally born in Argentina, but I live in New Zealand for the last 10 years, 10 and a half years now. And I start my journey, my family constellation journey, like 11 years ago in Argentina. And then I came to New Zealand and I start to find like a kind of family constellation here, family. And well, I start to do, since 11 years ago, becoming a facilitator also, like, I don't know, 3 years ago. I was practicing and doing family constellations in them. And
Beautiful.
in my full time, I work in government, and I am also a yoga teacher. So I teach yoga twice per week here in Wellington. I am based in Wellington.
Beautiful. Yes. I didn't know that you worked in the government. What do you do for the government?
Well, I am in the process to change. I am in the process to change jobs. I am working now in NCTA, but New Zealand Transport Agency, in the digital space. But I am going to move next week to the Crown Response Office in a senior administrator role. So that's very a privilege for me, being part of the Crown, which is a new office, was created last year. They used to work along with Oranga Tamariki. They are responding about the child abuses case that happened in New Zealand between 1950 and 2000. So I will be there from next Monday. Yeah.
Wow.
I start. Yeah.
Wow, that's a huge shift in positions.
Yes.
And then you're a yoga teacher and a family constellation facilitator.
Yes. Well, my background is in reality is legal. I used to work as a lawyer in Argentina as well. I worked in a law firm for 5 years, doing a little bit of everything in the fields of the law, like criminal, tax, commercial, family, and a mix of everything. And then I decided to move to New Zealand because I was looking for a change in my life. I have one of my best friends from the school living here. I used to follow her photos in Facebook. I say, oh my God, it's just an amazing place. I want to be there. So I decided to take a step out of my comfort zone, being brave, and I did on my own. I was having like the comfy life in Argentina. Well, working as a lawyer. Well, I used to be in a relationship. Suddenly, like, things changed, and definitely family constellation was part of this journey for me. I discovered family constellations the year before I came to New Zealand, and I was struggling in my life, just broken up with my ex-partner, and then I wasn't really sure about my career and my life. And my best friend went to Argentina to get married the same year. So I think it was everything like start to be aligned in some point. And I tried to apply for the working holiday visa and I didn't get it. And then my mom came to me to talk me about family constellations. It was September 2014. And when she came to share about the experience, she tried to explain me about how does it work, what was the experience, and how did she feel. And when she tried to explain me, I say, "Mom, you must be crazy."
This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that you will be in a room with a group of people. The work was leading by a facilitator, and the people came with a specific. The person came with a specific issue. Then you choose representatives to this issue, to explore this issue, and then these people start to develop this kind of behavior, gestures, or things like your family members. So I was very, very struggling to to believe that. I think it's quite hard. I still find quite hard to explain about what does it mean family constellation.
Yeah. And is it quite big it's quite big in Argentina, isn't it? Throughout South America.
Yeah, it's very popular. I knew that Bert Hellinger went many, many times to Argentina. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there because I was too young. I couldn't, yeah, I couldn't discover this pathway before, where things happen for a reason. I think it's just in the right time or the right moment. But yeah, when she came to explain me, I was pretty devastated about my life and quite lost. I decided to give a try anyway, and I went for a session in Argentina, and that's where really feel the big shift on my life.
Yeah.
I had a one-on-one session because I feel like it was very shy. I couldn't share with them. That's a matter of time, because after that we discovered is that maybe our ego that fight us to this with this kind of feel like we feel really exposure. You don't want to share, but at the same time, that's the beauty of the service. To be in service for you and your family system and others people family system.
Yeah. When you represent.
Yeah. That's amazing. But yeah, it cost me a little bit wet. Anyway, I decided to go. I want to be able to explain about these feelings or this experience in one-on-one session, because it was like a kind of also visualizations of things that I really be able to understand once I came to New Zealand. And yeah, and everything starts to flow. So when I was disappointed because I couldn't get my working holiday visa, I decided to make like a plan B and I came with a student visa and to New Zealand. And then, well, I start to do my life. I made my self realization. Oh my God! Just I decide to take a flight, quit my job, my life in Argentina, and then I came to New Zealand without speak English, which is really important. So I was struggling for first couple of years. And then I got my working holiday visa, and it was like everything started to keep flowing easier. And that's how I made the self-realization also about things happen in the right time, in the right place, in the right moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you and I met in 2019.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah, that's right.
So 6 years ago when Leslie Nips came over for the first time.
Yeah. And I think it was also the first, the same year that I started to do my family constellation training with Brigitte Champetier de Rips, from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I follow the facilitator in Argentina just suggests me to do this training. So I start to do like an online training with Brigitte. She has like plenty of courses and things sharing in the website. Yeah, she developed like the family constellation school in Spain. Yeah, and that's how I start. And then, well, before I meet Maya, also another facilitator, she lives in Picton. In 2017, it was like 2 years later that I arrived to New Zealand. And I still was struggling to explain about what family constellation was. And then I started to organize like small workshops, a retreat here in Wellington.
That
So
you're running yourself.
no, I helped Maya to organize. Was same workshops that we did in Wellington, and some years later, like I don't know, 3 years ago, I started to run small workshops here in Wellington and one-on-one sessions as well.
Fantastic. Fantastic. There's so much. This work is so needed out there, right? So very, very needed.
Yeah. And then I meet you, in 2019 in the retreat with Leslie, true, in April. That it was actually huge retreat with a lot of people. It was
Yeah,
lovely.
it was my first event of hosting anyone, and yeah, it was great. Leslie Nips is a fantastic facilitator, and yeah, it just went really smoothly. We worked really well together, so it was a great opportunity to. I learned a lot from it as well, and yeah, and doing so much more with all of that now. You know, some facilitators, they like to follow certain topics, like, for example, Maria Delence works with couples and she works with addiction. Is there anything that you specifically work with, or are you quite open to, do you do most things?
Generally, I am very, very open to see everyone and discover the work of everyone because everyone is different. Some people may choose to, specialize in specific things like traumas, and other people specialize, like, I don't know, in systemic constellations, which is also very used in companies, organizations, and but I am open to discover everyone. When I saw, I am also very curious, so I just catch my attention. And also open to share and to be in this service of love, because that's the meaning for me. It's about being in service for your family system and others' family system. and what's the main purpose of that. And I feel like it's to keep the love flowing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. If you think about your life when you were a lawyer,
Mm,
then you think about constellations, because I know in Brazil they use family constellations in some courts, and some judges use it for divorce or
mm.
other things. There was something else that they use it mostly for. Is how could you see that the benefit?
Um, yeah, I knew there is one lawyer in Argentina. She lives in Cordoba, and she's very, very close to Brigitte Champetier de Rips in Spain. And she's a lawyer, and she's a family constellation facilitator. And I know she's using um, family constellation in during, I don't know, like mediations or these kind of things. She's
Mhm.
a family's lawyer, specialized in family, I think. I am not really aware about how it will be, but I will be very, very open to try, because I feel like that's the key of this work, like just being open, and let's see things happening and flowing. I imagine that can be very, very helpful, because I think that where we came from, we belong to a family system. Everyone belongs to a family system, and all the information is coming through our DNA, and that's how we tend to repeat behaviors or patterns. When we have the opportunity just to acknowledge, sometimes it's acknowledge or just seeing things,
Yeah.
that's how we start to feel the shift.
Yeah, it's when I went to watch the movie The Four Love Letters. Have you heard of that one? And they used constellations. So the producer of the movie used constellations in the process of creating the film over a number of years. It wasn't just and the actors used it as well. For actually, I'm not 100% sure how or what, but it was a fascinating film, and it made you think about the layers. And that's what I think about with the court systems as well. Like that being able to see what is behind someone, or see like for couples when they are separating and stuff like that, being able to see the partner and what's behind them. Yeah, yeah, it would be fascinating, wouldn't it, to put that into perspective and as a lawyer in the situation as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like can be very, very helpful, because it's also important that see some the stuff or the work, it's coming before us, and sometimes it's like generations through generations, and as long as we make the acknowledge about that, is like we can, yeah, feel and see the shift. And that's how I feel like the soul movement start to work and move in a slow direction, because I feel like the movements are slow,
Mm,
and as much as it's slower, it can be healed. Yeah, I
mm.
wasn't aware about the movie, but I watched the Another Self, the series.
Yeah,
So
apparently there's another one of that coming out. But yeah, that the Four Love Letters has just been out at the movie theater. So
mm,
and you can see, not having known that they use systemic work, systemic questionings in the creation of it, and you can see the layers of that throughout the. I think you've got to see the movie to understand that part of it, but
yeah, no, but yeah, that's fascinating. I feel like
Mm,
that's wonderful. This journey, it's, as I say, it's a life philosophy, because it's as long as you discover you want to be, yeah, you want to be in the journey. Well, not everyone, but some people feel like, yeah, it can be like your life journey, living through I think acceptance is one of the biggest keys as well. Acceptance about life and things as they are.
Yeah, and that's not always easy for people, is it? Accept,
I think
you know?
that's the challenge, because sometimes it's easy to accept things that we love and we like it, but I think it's very difficult to accept things that we don't like it.
Yeah.
Or we don't. I mean, there are like things that sounds like crazy. I remember in another self in this series, one of them, I don't want to talk too much because some people cannot see that, but it was like a big one of the clients came with a cancer, a terminal cancer, and the facilitator say, can you say thank you to the cancer? Of course not.
Mm.
Because it's very hard, but it's not about us. I feel like, yeah, it came before someone else got cancer, someone else got an addiction, someone else got an unbalanced relationship, and that's how the shift and the change start.
Mm. Yeah. Would there be any examples of the work that you feel that you could share for the listeners and the viewers without crossing any confidentiality or anything like that, or something that you've witnessed or read into the work?
Yeah, I remember like I did like two sessions. It was last year ago. Two sessions with two different women that they want to be mom, and they couldn't be pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to go with different opportunities through the feminine size from the mom, because there were like abortions, so much suffering involved in all this maternity process.
Yeah.
As long as they had the acknowledge to discover and just seeing the things, I think 4 months later, 3 months later, they were pregnant. Oh my God, that's how it works. And sometimes things can change like in a click, and
Yeah.
sometimes things can change in some months. Another interesting thing that can happen is like people came with a specific issue of things. I know what I want to constellate. I know, so I am going to sit in the hot chair and I want to see this issue. And then just the person came and sit in the hot chair and say, oh, but it wasn't at all that I want to say. That's no I wants to mean.
Mm.
And it's because also the feel is going to show us the things that we need to see in the right time and the same moment. And it's about, again, that's an ego fight because it's not about that we want. It's about that we are ready to see according to our life, according with the soul movement.
Yes, the ego fight. I remember seeing a gentleman, a much older gentleman, and he sat in the hot seat and he says he wanted to look at his relationship and I know what's wrong. I know where the answer. I know what's wrong. I know where it all starts and da da da. And the facilitator very kindly said, "There's no need for you to sit in the hot seat if you already know the answer." And he's like, oh, no, no, I don't really know where it is. So he had his mind set on it being all laying the blame on his partner, whereas constellations isn't about blame, right? It's about seeing what's and acknowledging what's there. So yeah, so he got a very different experience to what he thought he was going to have, because sometimes people come to the constellations thinking it's talk therapy, thinking they're going to get to sit and just talk and but it's really an experience, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's an experience just to live. It's very hard to explain how does it work, because also every experience must be different. Every person is different. Every family system is different. So yeah, that's always something change. um, that's another thing. I mean, as a facilitator, you cannot guarantee results because you can't, but you will see a shift in some point. And sometimes, as I say, can be quicker, sometimes can be slower. But that's the main key is just came with a heart open to
Yeah.
let things happen. And that's the beauty.
And Gala Rodell did a constellation with me probably about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe even more. And it got to a point, and there was there was insight, there was no resolution, but it felt like, when a pimple's just ready to burst, and there's all this pressure, and she says, right, we'll leave it there, and you've got homework to do, and I was like, left my mouth open, feeling like, what? But it was the best thing for me at that time. I've had other constellations where there's been a beautiful resolution and I felt amazing shifts as well. So I don't think one is better than the other. I think they both had their place, and yeah, we never know as we start a constellation where it's going to end or what it's going to show up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really true. You are totally, yeah, you are totally right, Tracy, because I think it's a main point as well, no? As a facilitator, also to know when the constellation has to stop, because it's not about having like a happy ending, like everyone is going to be happy and like a party, or it sometimes is like a small or a slow soul movement that has to be seen or acknowledged, and that's how the work starts. And sometimes you don't have this kind of resolution. That's all.
I say you're not always going to get the Disney ending because the energy expands and it contracts, and you feel like sometimes at the end of a constellation you feel like you've just watched a whole movie, and it's almost like there've been times when I've felt like, where they've got all the music and the sound and everything's moving. That's the whole experience that I've had, even though there hasn't been the music and that, like as in a cinema. And then you get a really nice ending in it, and that feels like a beautiful. Not that I call it a Disney ending, but I say to people, you're not always going to get that.
Yeah, no, that's totally true.
Yeah, because sometimes you feel like you've just sat and when you're witnessing, it's like you've just watched the movie, you just watched this whole thing go off in front of you, and it's like, wow, when you get really engrossed and really involved in a movie.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And probably didn't depict that very well, but yeah. Anyway, let's see, what other questions have I got? Oh, who would be one of your top facilitators, or maybe you have a few? Who would be your favorite?
My teacher from Spain, Brigitte, it's really good one. I found like she developed a very complete training that I am still actually doing, because she has like 3 different levels, and she got like plenty of modules and videos about every topic that you can work in constellations. And that's a long training. That's why I say life philosophy. I found like she is working in this also, as you mentioned, like kind of, because it's kind of a meditation movement. You don't have to talk too much. That's another thing. Like people came sometimes like like, I don't know, like, oh no, I don't want to talk, I don't want to, but you don't really need to talk. It's just the main key is just coming with an open heart and soul heart, and to see everything that you need to see in this moment. So then Maya, and she's based in Picton. That's where I start my journey here in New Zealand. She started to offer the workshops, and I started to help her to organize workshops. And then we did a retreat, which was great. And then she developed a training as well, an online training, and that I take me like, a couple of years to do as well. She's also offering more trainings now. Yeah. And then, well, I meet you, 2019. And from there, well, Joan Garriga as well. I meet Joan Garriga in my city. He's been in Tucumán, and it was like, these kind of things aligned, that I managed to be in Argentina at the same time he was there. So it was a beautiful experience. He offered like a kind of seminar. I think it was 2 or 3 days, beautiful, with kind of sessions, but also developing different topics. It was very, very beautiful work with him there, Joan Garriga. And from there I open to meet everyone who is in this beauty work.
There are so many, because it's been around for a long time. In some parts of the world, it's just quite new. It feels quite new. In other parts of the world, it's been there for a long time. But I think it's really awakening the, the rememberings of the Indigenous mindset as well. And that's for all of us, not just, I have a multicultural, very mixed background within my bloodlines, but even with my colleagues, it really does stir up the rememberings within us of our ancient ways. That's how I put it anyway, because it's so different from the modern world's conceptual thinking.
And I am very very happy to see how this work keep expanding in a good way. In Argentina, of course, it's like bigger, but also it's because the population is bigger too. When you are in a seminar with Brigitte is going to Argentina like every year. She's visiting there. Or Joan Garriga, they are both from Spain, but the seminars are between like 200, 300 people. That's huge. And here it's great also in New Zealand, the movement, how we start to meet each other and sharing, being together. It becomes for me like a kind of passion to share that. And I say, oh my God, how different will be the world if everyone came just one time, one constellation.
Absolutely. I had the privilege recently of working with some inmates, and the shifts for them and the things that they were able to, even just some of them were saying, I can breathe easier. I feel like someone's got my back, and I haven't felt that before. Like I feel like someone's standing behind me and supporting me. So it was incredible. And you're right. If everybody got to do one constellation, at least, that would be massive shifts within the world.
Every constellation is also experience. I can't remember, but I did like many constellations. I mean, I went to explore different issues. Every time it's a different experience, very, very different. Yeah, and then you start to feel the shift. Always say like it's a kind of you have the dominoes, the game,
Yep, the
and
dominoes.
it's yeah, and you start just to move piece by piece, and that's that's how well I feel like every constellation is like
Mm.
moving one piece. Um, yeah, it's very, very different experience, different issues. Yeah.
Do you, this question just popped in, so I know that you also teach yoga. Do you ever throw in any constellation queries or questions when when they're doing yoga with you? Like breathe in, feel your parents behind you, or something like that? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, well, I mean, when I remember when I started to teach yoga, yeah, I was petrified because it's about this pressure and talking and facing the fear to speak in public, and especially in my second language, which was I was very struggling. Well, sometimes I am, but I think that's this kind of feeling that make me feel so peace, feeling
Mm.
like my ancestors behind. And even at work, sometimes I feel like this fear of exposure. I had to do a speech just this week, and I felt I don't want to be nervous. I don't want to be nervous, and I start to imagine that.
Mm.
Oh my God, how amazing it's, and how does it, how helpful it's. Yeah, it's everything changed. Yeah, it's very, very different.
Beautiful. Beautiful. If someone wanted to get a hold of you, Ali, how would they find you? If they wanted to book in for a workshop or a one-on-one with you?
Yes, well, I am in the process to develop my website. Just I have a Facebook page and Instagram that I using for my yoga classes, and sometimes I use for family constellations. But yeah, I am in the process to develop Shining Soul, which will be my
Shining,
soul.
shining soul.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's, I mean, I am just there teaching yoga, offering family constellations, well, access bars. That's another modality that I am doing.
Oh, great. That's so good. This class is so good for you. Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I think we'll leave it there. And yeah, if anyone wants to reach out to Ellie, if you're down in the Wellington region, um, please reach out. And yeah, beautiful soul who will hold you gently and yeah, take you on a journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tracy, and thank you so much for inviting me to share this experience. Wonderful podcast that you are doing. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for listening. Head over to Instagram and tell me what's resonated for you with this episode. You'll find me at tracy.cartwright. That's Tracy with no E. Cartwright. Or head over to my website, tracycartwright.co.nz, and receive a free audio with the gift from your ancestors. So until next time, be kind to yourself and have fun doing it.